JetBlue Airways Corporation, often stylized as JetBlue, is an American low-cost airline. The company is headquartered in the Long Island City neighborhood of the New York City borough of Queens. Its main base is John F. Kennedy International Airport, also in Queens, and maintains a corporate office in Cottonwood Heights, Utah. The airline mainly serves destinations in the United States, along with flights to the Caribbean, the Bahamas, Bermuda, Barbados, Colombia, Costa Rica, the Dominican Republic, Jamaica, Mexico, Peru, and Puerto Rico. As of October 2013, JetBlue serves 84 destinations in 24 states and 12 countries in the Caribbean, South America, and Latin America. History, founding. JetBlue was incorporated in Delaware in August 1998. David Neeleman founded the company in February 1999, under the name New Air. Several of JetBlue's executives, including Neeleman, are former Southwest Airlines employees. JetBlue started by following Southwest's approach of offering low-cost travel, but sought to distinguish itself by its amenities, such as in-flight entertainment, TV at every seat, and Sirius satellite radio. In Neeleman's words, JetBlue looks to bring humanity back to air travel. In September 1999, the airline was awarded 75 initial takeoff landing slots at John F. Kennedy International Airport, and received formal U.S. authorization in February 2000. It started operations on February 11, 2000, with service to Buffalo and Fort Lauderdale. JetBlue's founders had set out to call the airline Taxi, and therefore have a yellow livery to associate the airline with New York. The idea was dropped, however, for several reasons: the negative connotation behind New York City taxis, the ambiguity of the word taxi with regard to air traffic control, and threats from investor J.P. Morgan to pull its share of the airline's initial funding unless the name was changed. 2000s, JetBlue was one of only a few U.S. airlines that made a profit during the sharp downturn in airline travel following the September 11, 2001 attacks. The airline sector responded to JetBlue's market presence by starting many rival carriers. Delta Airlines started Song, and United Airlines launched another rival called TED. Song has since been disbanded and was reabsorbed by Delta Airlines, and United has discontinued TED as a separate brand. In October 2005, JetBlue announced that its quarterly profit had plunged from $8.1 a million to $2.7 a million, largely due to rising fuel costs. Operational issues, fuel prices, and low fares, JetBlue's hallmark, were bringing its financial performance down. In addition, with higher costs related to the airline's numerous amenities, JetBlue was becoming less competitive. Regardless, the airline continued to plan for growth. It was announced that 36 new aircraft were scheduled for delivery in the year 2006. For many years, analysts had predicted that JetBlue's growth rate would become unsustainable. Despite this, the airline continued to add planes and routes to the fleet at a brisk pace. In addition, in 2006, the IAM attempted to unionize JetBlue's ramp service workers, in a move that was described by JetBlue COO Dave Barger as pretty hypocritical, as the IAM opposed JetBlue's creation when it was founded as New Air in 1998. The union organizing petition was dismissed by the National Mediation Board because fewer than 35% of eligible employees supported an election. In February 2006, JetBlue announced its first-ever quarterly loss. For fourth quarter 2005, the airline lost $42.4 a million, enough to make them unprofitable for the entire year of 2005. The loss was the airline's first since going public in 2002. JetBlue also reported a loss in the first quarter 2006. In addition to that, JetBlue forecast a loss for 2006, citing high fuel prices, operating inefficiency, and fleet costs. During the first quarter report, CEO David Neeleman, President Dave Barger, and then CFO John Owen released JetBlue's return to profitability plan, stating in detail how they would curtail costs and improve revenue to regain profitability. The plan called for $50 a million in annual cost cuts and a push to boost revenue by $30 a million. JetBlue Airways moved out of the red during the second quarter of 2006, beating Wall Street expectations by announcing a net profit of $14 a million. That result was flat when compared to JetBlue's results from the same quarter a year before, but it was double Wall Street forecasts of a $7 a million profit, Reuters reports. The carrier said cost-cutting and stronger revenue helped it offset higher jet fuel costs. In October 2006, JetBlue announced a net loss of $500,000 for Quarter 3, and a plan to regain that loss by deferring some of their E190 deliveries, and by selling 5 of their A320s. In December 2006, JetBlue announced another component of the RTP, when they explained the reasoning behind their decision to remove a row of seats from their A320s. The removal of the seats will lighten the aircraft by 904 lb, and will reduce the in-flight crew size from 4 to 3, thus offsetting the lost revenue from the removal of seats, and further lightening the aircraft, resulting in less fuel burned. In January 2007, JetBlue announced it had returned to profitability with a fourth-quarter profit for 2006, reversing a quarterly loss in the year earlier period. As part of the RTP plan, 2006's full-year loss was $1 a million compared to 2005's full-year loss of $20 a million. JetBlue was one of the few major airlines to post a profit in the quarter. While its financial performance started showing signs of improvement, in February 2007, JetBlue faced a crisis, when a snowstorm hit the northeastern Midwest, throwing the airline's operations into chaos. Because JetBlue followed the practice of never canceling flights, it desisted from calling flights off, even when the ice storm hit and the airline was forced to keep several planes on the ground. Because of this, passengers were kept waiting at the airports for their flights to take off. In some cases, passengers who had already boarded their planes were kept waiting on the tarmac for several hours and were not allowed to disembark. However, after all this, the airline was eventually forced to cancel most of its flights because of prevailing weather conditions. The fiasco reportedly cost JetBlue $30 a million. In 2007, JetBlue was also facing reliability problems with its Embraer 190 fleet. For a couple months JetBlue contracted ExpressJet to operate 4 Embraer 145 regional jets on behalf of JetBlue. While this was going on, 2 E190 aircraft at a time were sent to an Embraer maintenance facility in Nashville, TN. ExpressJet operated routes between Boston Logan and Buffalo, New York, and Washington Dulles, in between New York JFK and Columbus, Ohio, and Richmond, Virginia. On May 10, 2007, JetBlue announced Barge's appointment as CEO, who also retains the position of president. Neeleman, who was named non-executive chairman of the board, said, "This is a natural evolution of our leadership structure as JetBlue continues to grow. As chairman of the board of directors, I will focus on developing JetBlue's long-term vision and strategy, and how we can continue to be a preferred product in a commodity business." On July 24, 2007, JetBlue reported that its second quarter revenue increased to $730 a million, compared to $612 in 2006. Second quarter net income grew to $21 a million for the quarter, from $14 a million the previous year. CEO David Barger said the airline will take delivery of 3 fewer planes this year and will sell 3 planes from their current fleet, slowing capacity growth. To strengthen our balance sheet and facilitate earnings growth, but will continue to add 2 to 4 new destinations each year. In July 2007, the airline partnered with 20th Century Fox's film The Simpsons movie to become the official airline of Springfield. In addition, a contest was held in which the grand prize would be a trip on JetBlue to Los Angeles to attend the premiere of the film. The airline's website was also redecorated with characters and their favorite JetBlue destinations, and the company was taken over by the show film's businessman villain Montgomery Burns. In August 2007, the airline announced the addition of exclusive content from the New York Times in the form of an in-flight video magazine, conducted by Times journalists, and content from NightTimes.com. On October 11, 2007, JetBlue announced expanded service to the Caribbean, with service to St. Martin and Puerto Plata commencing January 10, 2008. With these additional destinations, JetBlue service expanded to a total of 12 Caribbean Atlantic destinations including Aruba, Barbados, Bermuda, Cancun, Nassau, Aguadilla, Ponce and San Juan, Puerto Rico, and Santiago and Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic. On November 8, 2007, JetBlue announced the appointment of Ed Barnes as interim CFO, following the resignation of former CFO John Harvey. On December 13, 2007, JetBlue and German-based Lufthansa announced their intent to sell 19% of JetBlue to Lufthansa, pending approval from U.S. regulators. Following the acquisition, Lufthansa stated they plan to seek operational cooperation with JetBlue. Lufthansa plans to offer connections to JetBlue flights in Boston, New York, and Orlando International Airport. In the March edition of Airways magazine, it was announced that once JetBlue partnered with Yahoo! And with BlackBerry producer Research in Motion, that the airline would offer free, limited Wi-Fi capabilities on a single aircraft, N651JB, an Airbus A320-200 dubbed Beta Blue. People access email with a Wi-Fi capable BlackBerry, or use Yahoo's email and instant messaging with a Wi-Fi capable laptop, while in flight over the U.S. Live TV in Melbourne, Florida, created and operated the Beta Blue prototype. The Beta Blue system utilized the bandwidth and infrastructure of defunct Airphone. On March 19, 2008, JetBlue announced the addition of Orlando, Florida as a gateway focus city to international destinations in the Caribbean, Mexico, and South America. New international routes from Orlando International Airport include Cancun, Mexico, Bridgetown, Barbados, Bogotá, Colombia, Nassau, Bahamas, San Jose Copyright, Costa Rica and Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic. In conjunction with the addition of new routes, the airline will continue significant expansion of operations at Orlando International Airport, including a planned 292-room lodge that will house trainees attending the existing JetBlue University training facility. On April 8, 2008, JetBlue introduced a new Happy Jetting brand campaign. The marketing campaign, developed in partnership with JWT New York, emphasizes competitive fares, service and complimentary onboard amenities such as free satellite television and radio, snacks and leather seats. On May 21, 2008, JetBlue named Joel Peterson chairman and Frank Syker vice chairman of its board of directors, replacing David Neeleman, who stepped down as CEO in 2007. On August 4, 2008, the Associated Press reported that JetBlue would replace their recycled pillows and blankets with an eco-friendly pillow and blanket package that passengers would have to purchase for use. Each package will cost $7, and will include a $5 coupon from retailer Bed, Bath & Beyond. This decision is the latest in a series of moves designed to increase revenue. JetBlue told the Associated Press that it expects to collect $40 a million from passengers selecting seats with extra legroom and $20 a million from passengers paying $15 to check a second bag. As of September 8, 2008, JetBlue charges passengers $10 $30 for an extended legroom seat depending on the length of the flight. In September 2008, JetBlue began operating Republican vice presidential candidate Sarah Palin's campaign aircraft, an E-190. On October 13, 2009, the airline unveiled a modification to its livery in commemoration of the upcoming 10th anniversary of the airline in February 2010. Besides a new tail design, the revised livery includes larger billboard titles extending down over the passenger windows at the front of the aircraft. The logo word JetBlue will no longer be silver and blue but now a dark, navy blue. JetBlue's JFK Terminal 5. On October 22, 2008, JetBlue opened its new primary hub at John F. Kennedy International Airport, Terminal 5, or simply T5. The mostly new terminal, costing approximately $800 a million, partially encircles the historic TWA Flight Center, the former Trans World Airlines terminal designed by Eero Saarinen, which remains closed. According to the plan, passengers will eventually be able to check in for flights in the landmark building, then transferred to the new structure via the original passenger departing arrival tubes from Saarinen's original terminal and its 1969 addition by Roche-Dinkloo. The first flight arrived from Bob Hope Airport at 5:06 a.m. followed by arrivals from Oakland International Airport and Long Beach Airport, respectively. The last flight to operate out of T6 was a departure to Rafael Hernandez Airport in Aguadilla, Puerto Rico, departing at 11:59 p.m., 2010s. On June 16, 2010, JetBlue began selling snack boxes on Airbus A320 flights over 3 hours, 45 minutes. There are 5 options for $6 each. In March 22, 2010, JetBlue turned down incentives from the city of Orlando and announced its headquarters would keep its Forest Hills office, start leasing and using the new office in the Brewster Building in Long Island City, New York. In Queens Plaza in Long Island City, move its headquarters there in mid-2012, and start a joint branding deal with New York State using the iconic I Love NY logo. On October 14, 2010, the California Council of the Blind and 3 individuals with visual impairments have filed a lawsuit against JetBlue Airways in federal court on allegations that JetBlue's website and airport kiosks are not accessible. On October 18, 2011, JetBlue announced that Chief Financial Officer Ed Barnes had resigned effective immediately. The company's treasurer, Mark Powers, was appointed interim CFO until a replacement for Barnes could be found. On June 13, 2012, JetBlue ranked highest in customer satisfaction among low-cost carriers in North America by J.D. Power and Associates, a customer satisfaction recognition received for the 8th year in a row. Introduction of premium transcontinental service. In October 2013, JetBlue announced it would offer a premium cabin service on transcontinental flights, to be called Mint. The service is set to begin in 2014, using 11 of the Airbus A321-200 aircraft on order, the first of which is slated to arrive in February 2014. JetBlue will fit those 11 aircraft with 16 lie-flat seats and movable partitions that can create small suites on the airplane. The A321 currently does not have sufficient range to fly a westbound transcontinental route during the winter, so JetBlue will fit the aircraft with sharklet winglets. These are expected to lower fuel burn sufficiently to meet the target range. On April 22, 2014, JetBlue's pilots voted to unionize for the first time since the airline was founded, with 71% casting ballots in favor of joining the ALPA. At the time of unionization, a JetBlue pilot's average annual compensation was comparable to other large airlines, with a figure of $187,000 reported for 2012, just $2,000 less than that of low-cost rival Southwest. Destinations. As of October 2013, JetBlue Airways flies to over 80 destinations in multiple countries, including Aruba, the Bahamas, Barbados, Bermuda, Colombia, Costa Rica, Jamaica, the Dominican Republic, Mexico, St. Martin, Puerto Rico, Peru and the United States. JetBlue is one of the largest airlines in the Northeast United States. JetBlue's most recent focus has been on Boston and the Caribbean. Partnerships. On February 6, 2007, USA Today reported that JetBlue plans to enter into an alliance with Irish flagship carrier Aer Lingus. The alliance will facilitate easy transfers to both airlines' customers, but will not allow either airline to sell seats on the other airline, unlike traditional code-share alliances, meaning customers must make individual reservations with both carriers, the newspaper said. On February 1, 2008, JetBlue announced the details of this alliance. Passengers will be able to connect between Aer Lingus and JetBlue in New York JFK or Boston Logan on a single ticket, which can be booked through both airlines' websites. The booking will be started with one airline, and then transferred to the other airline's website to complete the booking. CEO David Barger was quoted as saying if this alliance is successful, JetBlue may be interested in partnering with other international carriers. On December 14, 2007, Cranky Flyer reported Lufthansa revealing its plans made with JetBlue. Lufthansa and JetBlue are reported to be investigating linking reservation systems and frequent flyer programs. By making use of JetBlue's North America routes as a feeder network, Lufthansa would be in a position to operate a quasi-hub at New York JFK and Boston Logan International Airport. As of February 2010, JetBlue transitioned reservation systems from Open Skies to Sabre per agreement with European partner Lufthansa. The new system allows JetBlue to code-share and transfer bags and passengers better between the two carriers. According to Dave Barger, CEO of JetBlue Airways, the airline is currently considering becoming a member of a global airline alliance. Since Lufthansa owns a 15.85% stake in JetBlue, Star Alliance seems to be the most likely choice. JetBlue already partners with Lufthansa, as well as Aer Lingus, which currently is not part of an alliance. On March 31, an official announcement was made by two airlines, American Airlines and JetBlue. The agreement includes the interlining of routes between the airlines. 18 of JetBlue's destinations that are not served by American and 12 of American's international destinations from John F. Kennedy International Airport and Boston Logan International Airport are included in the agreement. The deal began in July 2010. Also, American is giving JetBlue 16 slots at Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport for 8 round trips and 2 at Westchester County Airport. In return, JetBlue is giving American 12 slots or 6 round trips at JFK Airport. On Friday, May 7, 2010, JetBlue announced an interline agreement with South African Airways to take effect on May 12, 2010. The agreement enables passengers to travel on a single electronic ticket with both carriers, and permits the through checking of baggage in both directions. On March 22, 2011, JetBlue announced an interline agreement with Virgin Atlantic Airways on transatlantic travel. On November 2, 2011, JetBlue announced an interline agreement with Jet Airways to connect customers traveling from JetBlue cities from the US to Brussels, Belgium and beyond India. On June 12, 2012, JetBlue announced an interline agreement with Air China to connect passengers between both carriers' networks at New York JFK as well as Los Angeles. Both carriers also plan to enter a code-share agreement by fall 2012 subject to government approval. JetBlue departures at each focus city, interline and code-share agreements. JetBlue does not participate in any major global airline alliances, but the airline has interline and code-share agreements with several airlines. Many of these airlines are members of global airline alliances. Fleet. As of August 2014, the JetBlue Airways fleet consists of the following aircraft with an average age of 8.1 years. Nearly every plane in JetBlue's fleet is named with a designation containing some form of the word blue. However, as of September 2012, there are 4 exceptions. Tail number N190JB is Luz F. Carl, named for the former chairman of the Niagara Frontier Transportation Authority, and tail number N316JB is Usto Schultz, named for JetBlue's former VP of Safety. Tail number N605JB, the Boston Red Sox-themed aircraft, does not have an official name but instead displays the Fenway Park 100th anniversary logo. One of JetBlue's other sports-themed aircraft is tail number N746JB. This aircraft bears the New York Jets logo, and areas of the aircraft which would typically be painted blue are painted green instead. Another aircraft, N586JB, carries an I Love New York JetBlue logo combination marked with the words New York's hometown airline instead of a name. The only plane that has not been named by a JetBlue employee is tail number N655JB, Blue 100, which was named by the company in celebration for JetBlue's 100th Airbus A320. Also, the plane has its own original tail fin. Also, tail number N658JB was named Hoo JetBlue, the official airline of Springfield, in celebration of the release of The Simpsons movie. The plane also features Homer Simpson giving a thumbs up. Some long-term maintenance on JetBlue's Airbus A320 aircraft is conducted at Aeroman, a facility in El Salvador owned by Avios Fleet Performance Incorporated. JetBlue also used Avios as facilities in Winnipeg, Canada until 2007, along with Empire Aero Center in Rome, NY. In December 2006, JetBlue announced it would remove one more row of seats from each A320. reducing the number of seats per A320 to 150. The airline also revealed that on each A320 it would adjust the remaining rows in the forward half of the cabin, increasing the seat pitch to 38 inches. These seats were called even more legroom seats and are now called even more space seats. Fleet modifications have been completed as of February 8, 2007. At present, the A320 has a seat pitch of 38 inches in rows 1 Euro 5, 10, and 11, these are even more space seats, and 34 inches in all other rows. The E190 has a seat pitch of 32 inches in rows 1 Euro 10 and 33 inches in rows 13 Euro 25, with a pitch of 38 inches in the exit rows. Over the summer of 2012 the E190 fleet was repitched to create even more space seats in rows 1 and 12 Euro 14. The seat pitch in rows 1 and 12 is 38 inches and rows 13 Euro 14 is 39 inches. Corporate Affairs, Headquarters. Its headquarters are in the Brewster Building in Long Island City, New York. JetBlue previously had its headquarters in the Forest Hills Tower in Forest Hills, Queens, New York City. The previous Forest Hills facility is 6 miles from the current office in Long Island City. In the summer of 2001 the airline announced that it wanted to take 74,000 square feet of space in the Forest Hills Tower. By December 2002 the airline announced that it planned to increase its leased space and use contiguous and efficient floor plates. Stephen Quoteso of the New York Post said that the JetBlue plan was possibly the largest office lease in Queens in 2002. In December 2002 between 600 and 800 JetBlue employees worked at the Forest Hills Tower. Prior to the move to the Forest Hills Tower, the airline headquarters were across the street, at 80 Euro 02 Kew Gardens Road. In 2009 JetBlue announced that it was looking for a new location for its headquarters. The company began considering moving the headquarters either within the New York City metropolitan area or to the Orlando, Florida area. In April of that year Helen Marshall, the president of the Borough of Queens, said that the city of New York was trying to keep JetBlue in the city. Her spokesperson, Dan Andrews, said that the mayor's office looked for office space in Queens and in other boroughs. In January 2010 the CEO of JetBlue, Dave Barger, and Governor of Florida Charlie Crist met at the governor's mansion in Tallahassee, Florida to discuss a possible headquarters move to Orlando. Barger said that he anticipated that JetBlue would decide whether to move by March 2010. JetBlue officials stated that if the airline moves its headquarters, it will not happen until 2012, when its lease in the Forest Hills Tower expires. On March 22, 2010 JetBlue announced it will remain in the New York City area. Its new headquarters will be located in Long Island City, in the borough of Queens. Barger stated that the airline decided to keep the headquarters in New York City because of the airline's historical links to New York City, the cost of relocating most of the airline's staff, the airline's desire to retain access to financial markets, and the fact that Aer Lingus and Lufthansa, JetBlue's international marketing partners, fly into John F. Kennedy International Airport. JetBlue plans to combine its Forest Hills and Darien, Connecticut offices, together about 1,000 employees, into about 200,000 square feet in the Brewster Building in Long Island City by mid-2012. Crew bases: JetBlue operates 5 bases for its pilots and in-flight crew members: Boston Logan International Airport, Fort Lauderdale International Airport, John F. Kennedy International Airport, Long Beach Airport, Orlando International Airport. Marketing strategy: JetBlue Euro unregistered trademark S first major advertising campaign incorporated phrases like a Euro OE unbelievable a Euro and a Euro OE we like you, to a Euro. Full-page newspaper advertisements boasted low fares, new aircraft, leather seats, spacious legroom, and a customer service-oriented staff committed to a Euro OE bringing humanity back to air travel a Euro with a goal of raising the bar for in-flight experience. JetBlue became the first airline to offer all passengers personalized in-flight entertainment. In April 2000, flat-screen monitors installed in every seat back allow customers live access to over 20 direct channels at no additional cost. As JetBlue gained market share, they found a unique positioning where they competed with other low-cost carriers as well as major carriers. Amenities such as their live in-flight television, free and unlimited snack offerings, comfortable legroom, and unique promotions fostered an image of impeccable customer service that rivaled the major airlines, while competitive low fares made them a threat to low-cost no-frills carriers as well. During the Campania Euro unregistered trademark's growth stage, advertising messages moved from the engaging and customer-oriented to less personal slogans and campaigns. Frequent changes in its value statements resulted in mixed and frequently wasted marketing dollars spent. Slogans varied from a Euro OE Moria Euro to a Euro OE Happy Jetting a Euro and many other failed attempts. A new marketing strategy has been partnerships with professional sports teams and venues. As the official airline of the New York Jets, JetBlue has specially painted the exterior of one of their Airbus A320s in the team's colors. Aircraft N605JB is based on the design of the Boston Red Sox road uniform and sports a gray fuselage with navy lettering. This aircraft was unveiled in February 2012, just in time for the opening of the Red Sox new spring training facility in Fort Myers, Florida, named JetBlue Park at Fenway South. Additionally, JetBlue and MasterCard have pledged to refund select flight purchases made online at JetBlue.com using a MasterCard. JetBlue has also partnered with various other sports teams and sporting venues in cities they serve. JetBlue also utilizes various forms of advertising media. They use print, online, and television ads as well as advertisements on popular social media sites including Hulu.com and YouTube.com. JetBlue emphasizes a secondary slogan, a Euro OE if you will, and a Euro unregistered trademark T take it on the ground. Don't a Euro unregistered trademark T take it in the air, a Euro poking fun at competitors with hidden fees, little or no amenities, and what JetBlue considers an unacceptable level of customer service. According to Martin St. George, Senior Vice President of Marketing and Commercial Strategy at JetBlue, the new A Euro OE above all a Euro campaign was created to get JetBlue back to their A Euro OE and a Euro and speak to the A Euro OE core of who we are as a brand. A Euro, this motto is meant to support their efforts to always put the customer first, and a Euro OE bring humanity back to air travel. A Euro Customer Bill of Rights. In February 2007, a Valentine's Day storm triggered an A Euro OE organizational meltdown, a Euro leading to an extremely high level of cancellations and controversies. For example, some passengers were held on board their plane awaiting clearance for takeoff for nearly 11 hours before they returned to their gate and the flight was cancelled. Various consumer rights organizations and activists called for the creation of a government-mandated A Euro OE Bill of Rights, a Euro, to protect air travelers from future experiences similar to the one previously described. On February 20, 2007, JetBlue released an apologetic response to the events that had taken place less than a week before with the creation of their Customer Bill of Rights, which offers financial reciprocation if a customer's flight is delayed or cancelled. TrueBlue, JetBlue's frequent flyer program is called TrueBlue. Under the original TrueBlue program, flights were worth 2, 4, or 6 points based on distance of the flights, and double points were awarded for flights booked online. In September 2009, JetBlue announced changes to its TrueBlue program. In the new program, members receive 3 points for every dollar spent toward a flight, excluding taxes and fees. Members earn an additional 3 points for every dollar spent on a flight if they book online on the JetBlue.com website. An additional 2 points are awarded if the member uses JetBlue co-branded American Express credit card to purchase the flight. The price of flights and points depend on the fare of the flight in US dollars. The new program launched on November 9, 2009. In June 2013, JetBlue announced that TrueBlue points will never expire for any reason. The current policy states that if you book a flight on JetBlue.com, you earn double with 6 points per dollar. Flights bought elsewhere result in 3 points per dollar spent. Incidents and accidents. JetBlue has had 5 incidents involving its aircraft, although none have resulted in any casualties or hull losses. September 21, 2005, Flight 292 en route from Burbank, California, to New York City performed an emergency landing at Los Angeles International Airport following a failure of the front landing gear during retraction when it turned 90 degrees. The plane landed after holding for about 3 hours to burn fuel and lighten the aircraft. The aircraft came to a stop without incident on runway 25L, the third longest runway at LAX. The only apparent damage to the plane upon landing was the destruction of the front wheels, which were ground down to almost semicircles, and the tires. The front landing strut held. The passengers were unable to see themselves landing despite the direct service in each seat, as it was turned off well before landing. August 9, 2010 Flight 1052. The JetBlue flight attendant incident was an altercation that occurred after JetBlue Airways Flight 1052, a flight from Pittsburgh to New York City, had landed. The incident garnered significant media attention when, upon landing, Stephen Slater, a flight attendant, announced over the plane's public address system that he had been abused by a passenger and that he quit his job. He then grabbed 2 beers and exited the plane by deploying the evacuation slide and sliding down it. Slater claimed to have been injured by a passenger when he instructed her to sit down. Slater's account of the event was not corroborated by others. March 27, 2012, an incident on Flight 191 involved the captain being locked out of the cockpit and being subdued by passengers following a panic attack. August 4, 2014, Flight 1668 from Charleston International Airport landed safely at Boston Logan International Airport after experiencing mechanical problems. There were no reported injuries. August 9, 2014, Flight 704 from San Juan International Airport, Puerto Rico to JFK International Airport, New York had to abort takeoff after one of the engines caught on fire after a bird strike. All 186 passengers were evacuated from the aircraft, only 3 children suffered minor scratches and bruises during evacuation. See also, references. Further reading, Blue Streak by Barbara S. Peterson, Portfolio, 2004, Flying High by James Weinbrandt, John Wiley & Sons Incorporated, 2004, External links, Official website, JetBlue on Facebook, JetBlue on Google+, @JetBlue on Twitter, Live TV homepage. JetBlue at the Wayback Machine.